Hi, friends. My name is John Bumgardner. I play guitar here at Grace Baptist, and the preacher has been kind enough to ask me to talk about my new book, and I'm excited about it. It's called Stroked by God, and it's a story of redemption and healing and lots of other things. I mean, as the pastor would say sometimes, there's lots of sermons in there, so I hope that you are inspired by it if you get a chance to read it. It's about my story as a professional musician back in the 90s. I was on the road as a professional musician, and later as a music executive. I managed several country artists and was doing really well. And at the height of my career, I was 37 years old. I had a stroke and literally overnight forgot completely how to play any of my instruments, music or anything. I couldn't even function in the music world anymore. Couldn't remember. Everything was completely foggy. And so it took a while, but God is good. He's merciful, and I'm so thankful that He redeemed my musical life and my life in general, of course. But God has given me this opportunity to write this book to inspire, hopefully, others who may have gone through a similar situation, maybe a stroke, maybe a terrible situation in your life that it's just a dark time for you. I feel confident, whether you're a believer or not, this book will help you. Experienced His mercy on a huge way because, as you can see, I can play again. And it took me about 5 years, but I remember sitting on the edge of the bed, breaking out literally in a cold sweat, just trying to remember anything about playing, and I just flat couldn't do it. Until one day, I was walking outside, and I heard the bees, or the insects, and the birds, and I had not heard them in months. I mean, I literally, when He shut it down, it was completely gone. I couldn't hear even the birds singing. So there was no music in my head for the first time since probably being born. And even then, there probably was a little bit going on up there. But so as that turned out, I eventually, one day, after I heard them, I took that as a sign that God was going to restore my music. And He did. It took a little time, and it was just like how He fed the sparrow, just a little bit at a time. And I would get just a little bit at a time, and I'd get so excited. I was like a kid again. I truly had the spirit of a child. He says, you have to have the spirit of a child to make it to heaven. Well, I'll tell you what, I could have gone that day when I heard those birds and insects. So to make this a little quicker, I eventually was able to teach music in a school, and I had majored in music education. I didn't want to teach. As a matter of fact, when I was in college, my teacher, my professor said, I'm not going to give you your degree because you're not a good teacher. And I said, well, I got to have this degree. I've worked hard for it. I said, you can call it whatever you want to. So she did. She called it just a regular music degree, and I was able to graduate with that. But as it turned out, I got this teaching job at St. John Vianney. It's a Catholic school up there in Gallatin. And I eventually became the Walmart Teacher of the Year. So He knows what needs to be redeemed in your life, even if you don't. Yes, sir. So today I'm just going to play a little song called Wayfaring Stranger because I feel like I'm still on that journey, And this is one of my favorite arrangements. I was able to record a couple albums, and I'm still recording. This song is not on an album yet, but it will be soon. It's my arrangement. It's really not my arrangement. It's God's arrangements. All these things are inspired by Him, and I hope you enjoy it. And I thank you all for listening. read just a little bit from my book, and perhaps you can get an idea of what it's about. This is when I was coming back from the stroke. God gave me back my ability to play. Obviously, for those of you who are here, you can see that on Sunday. And I use it for His glory now. And hopefully that's what this book will be, and it'll bring Him some new friends. I was having my little musical reawakenings and also re-experiencing the joy of the small miracles of God's creation, and doing both as a child would, with wonder when they happened and with trust looking forward to the next one. And the way that God healed my brain was unmistakably the way musicians learn how to play a song. You take a little bit at a time and repeat it, and repeat it, and repeat it again until it becomes a part of your long-term memory. And the muscles that you use to invoke the tune can almost get there on their own with very little input from you at a conscious level. I began learning music again like the child I had been, and sensing creation again the way a child might. I think this was because in several important ways I had become as a child. This is when I began to understand that what had happened to me was a blessing, and not the curse so many would think it to be, including myself. For who among adults has not wished to experience again those joyous moments that usually only happen when we are children? And how many of us actually get to do that? So I started playing what I could remember over and over again until I had it. And then, like clockwork, God would give me a little more. I would work on it the same way until I could play an entire song. Wow. I felt like one of those birds being hand-fed by a gentle master. That was the moment when I truly began to understand at a deep level in my body and not as an abstraction in my brain what the word redemption meant.